hold up. One thing about it, we're going to continue to work for the Lord. One thing about it, we're going to continue to push his message. We're going to continue to push his word and try to get people to repent for their sins, to redirect their life in righteousness, to build their spirit up. Miss Celestial back with another prophetic message. Make sure you stick around to the end.
Fall and brothers will be going home. Oh, the date of the prophecy is actually July 19. I thought it was the 21st. Okay, so the brother's prophecy, I first received it on July 19, 2025, because that is what is written here for the first time I posted it. If your brother is a chronic drinker, chronic smoker, chronic gambler, or even if you're not chronic, if you're doing these things which are vices that are attached to your character that you're definitely not taking into heaven, there's only one place that a gambler, a smoker, a fornicator is going to be welcome, and that is in the lake of fire. You're not going to be welcome in heaven. You're going to have to separate from these sins, because the judgment of God on the earth will be towards sins. Any sins still found clinging to you at the time of judgment are going to be what? Attributed to you. So it will no longer be, I, the Lord, judge gambling. It will be like, no, I judge Nkosi's gambling. And then it suddenly becomes your problem standing before the white throne judgment. I hope you understand. So if your brother is a chronic drinker, a chronic smoker, a gambler, a philanderer, meaning just moving from woman to woman, or in this new time, moving from man to man. If your brother is one who keeps multiple women at the same time, if your brother is a wicked man, if he is immoral, basically an adulterer, if he's a pedophile, if he has a thing for the animals on the farm, if he's a chronic liar, for instance, if he's one who, there's this type of man that just loves to stir the pot to see other people get angry, right? A rage baiting troll, an instigator, that kind of thing. This even includes men who are giving the bulk of their life to video games. They give the bulk of their life to gaming, to stuff like that, and just any life that you are leading in which there's no space for God. You are the type of brother that God is talking about, because there's no reason for you to be on earth. We're about to step into adult matters, okay? We're about to get into end times, prison type of, hiding in the forest type of end times things. And we don't need you that just has no space for God. You have no bandwidth for God. You have no time for God. God himself has, unfortunately, no longer any patience for you to wait for your cup to be full. He's just going to pour in, fill the cup himself, and then scoot you off the surface of the earth. There's a lot of people, they're going to have the final understanding of this prophecy when the diagnosis is given to them. If you're lucky enough to not be a car crash person, right? Then somebody told me about a bus of school children in Ghana that just exited this world. So when you exit like that, you can't fix it. You literally die in the posture that you're in. There's no fixing it. There's no coming back. There's no nothing. So the Lord says all these groups that I've named, this prophecy will affect that man. If your brother is in the alphabet lifestyle, that is the LGBTQ, if your brother is an evil man, someone who's always speaking evil of God, someone who's always mocking God and things like that, God says that man will be taken from your family, and therefore the women in the families need to be prepared for funerals. I was saying something about the conversation of God, and that God knows where all of us are, and that there's nuances in the text that people don't understand about God. If God knows where you are and God goes to talk to someone else, it might be that God is trying to see if your ear is open and if you're humble to hearing his voice through others. However, if God knows where you are, and then God starts sending messages like, tell that man, you're married, you're in the house, your husband is a Christian, so he says. You're a Christian, so you say. Your husband says he has prayer time, FaceTime with God. You are a Christian, you also have prayer time. Then God comes to you and then he begins to speak of your dearly beloved as, tell that man. This is not a good look. God is not impressed with your husband. God does not see your husband as a friend. God knows that your husband is lying about his prayer time. God knows that your husband has an iron heart, and that when your husband goes into the prayer closet, the only person that your husband hears is himself. He basically goes and talks at God and says, hey God, you're so lucky that I'm here because A, B, C, D, E, F, and all the rest, you know how it goes. So thank you so much. I'll see you again when I have time. That's what your husband is doing. So when God comes to a wife or God comes to a sister and starts off the conversation with, tell that man, somebody is about to have their fingers and toes slammed in the eternal gates of heaven by a very big hand. God knows where you are. When he's not choosing to come and talk to you and the prophecy is bad, this is a gross, gross disrespect to you from the Lord, because the Lord doesn't see you as anyone to respect. So for God to come and start talking about millions of men who are fathers, uncles, actual brothers, sons, nephews, cousins, and say, oh, women, you might need to start the GoFundMes early, especially if you know that you're not financially stable. You might want to start looking into that, start looking for some respectful frocks, hats, netting, everything, because there's going to be funerals coming up soon. It's not a good look. It actually speaks to a God who is more fed up of men than men can even conceive. It speaks to a God who is more tired, sick and tired of men than men can even conceive. God says if any man in the family matches this profile that I've carefully built for you, that person, that man is an evil man. If your brother is an evil man, someone who speaks evil of God a lot, mocking God and things like that, God said that man will be taken from your family and that women should get ready for funerals. Any hard-hearted man who is your brother, especially those who mock and scoff, but also those who are sinning and don't want to leave the sin. They don't want to repent of, get rid of, and put sin behind their back for good. Yah said to the women, brothers will be taken away, and you will know you had the opportunity to preach to them to be moral men, but you did not. So God is basically telling you women that a lot of you tend to stand on the side and look at your brother and just be like, I just wish he would, Sis Celestial. And then, why are you telling me? Do I have his number? And even if I did, would I call? The answer is no. I'm performing a public service for Jesus Christ here. I'm literally standing at the crossroads between this is your last shot and okay, keep going and see what you find down that road. Before I started this ministry, God said that for a lot of people, they will not know that they are at a crossroads and you are the last time I'm going to talk to them before they continue what they're doing, and then they're going to reach a hard impact. And for some of them, that impact is going to mean immediate exit from the world. I've never hidden anything from people here. That's why there's a lot of testimonies on this blog that I literally thought I was a Christian Celestial. I thought that I was the biggest of the saved. And then when I began to listen to what you said and I began to actually repent the way you said, I wanted to faint at the stuff that started coming out of my life before the Lord. I was horrified at myself. I literally saw who I was. Some people, God began to give them movies about who they really were, and they were so shocked and embarrassed. That goes for those who were previously saved, those who were unsaved. God said that this is a last bus stop ministry. You come here and you're like, I don't really see anything of value, and you keep going. You're going to find great value in the highway wall that will be waiting for you up ahead. And for some people, that highway wall will break, sending them over into a cliff edge. So God said, you had the opportunity to preach to your brother, but you were minding your brother's feelings. Or you started preaching and then your mom was like, just leave him alone because he gets angry. Don't mind that lady. Don't mind that lady. Because the first person who should have been preaching to him before you were even born was her. It was her, and she didn't do it. Now God will be grabbing you, jacking you up in the prayer closet, telling you to preach to him. And now she's like, no, because he's going to get angry. Let him get angry. It's supposed to be 2 or 3 of you, females in the house, telling him you're not going to make God judge this household. If you're going to keep doing that, you're never bringing anyone here to the house. If you bring anyone to the house, we're breaking the door down and we're going to throw water on the 2 of you while you're doing whatever you're doing in there. You're not going to cause the anger and the sword of the Lord to enter into this house. It should be mom saying, not in my house. But in America, people are like, well, I'm just glad she's safe. I'm just glad. I'd rather they do it at home than in the streets. Ma'am, you are for the streets. You are no parent. You are no parents. You are just merely a game warden looking over a buffalo that God is going to hunt before these end times are over. To watch your son bringing somebody's daughter in the house to fornicate under your roof, and then you're like, I just, it's safer here. Sin is not safer anywhere. And the judgment that is resting upon the head of you and Doug for allowing that. For you and any parent of any ethnicity for allowing fornication in the house, talking about, I'd rather. Ma'am, hell is hot and there is no exit strategy from that place. So precious that he should just continue with them because because you are crying. Even if I'm saddened, I'm not going to start standing up in front of God and then saying, no, Lord, no. I was just asking what is to become of us, his people, because we are in the midst of what I know are going to be destroying judgments. And he said, I'm judging in spite of my people being present. I'm judging in spite of your presence in the land. And I always told you that judgment is like an umbrella. Who's seen this movement? Who's seen this movement in my videos? That judgment comes to the whole of the land. And the best that you can do is then ask for the Lord to be a covering over you as the overarching judgment comes. That's what God did for Noah. That is what God did for Noah. People are waiting to be raptured in September, but in the real world, God protects like what he did for Noah. So, God says that the majority population working under the earth is black people that have been born into that captivity, but that all races are there, white, Hispanic, and many Asian people of dark and lighter hues. And you can just bet, you can, if you want to know, oh, do you think there's any Polynesian people there? Yes, there's Polynesian people there, because the reason that people get under that ground is that they started out being stolen and carried there. Nobody's born under the ground as a first opening. Women are trafficked into that place. That means that women, great-grandmothers, have died there, but when she came in, she was 16, cried her eyes out, and didn't have the kind of escape that God gave me. Those people just scooped me right up out of that place and took me out, or whether I absorbed supernaturally through all the rock layers of the ground and came back up, and I just found myself in the same empty venue where we had been wined and dined and poisoned. Many girls were taken down there, raped, having a baby a year until the body just gave out and they died, and then more were brought in. Women are very easy to traffic because they behave very unwisely when they're out. They think their little pepper spray in their bag is going to save them. Pepper spray can never save you when you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Do you know that? Pepper spray can never save you. You will never be as strong as 2 or 3 guys. Never. It will never happen. And since they're not curating, this is not Handmaid's Tale type of baby. They don't actually mind if the traffickers rape you all the way to where they're taking you. They don't mind that if those guys at every rest stop, because they know eventually if the odds are in their favor, you will end up in the underground city pregnant. And since they're not looking to raise rocket scientists, and they're not looking to raise anthropologists, they're not looking to raise doctors and surgeons, they don't actually care who the man is, what his seed is, and what his DNA or his educational level is that raped you. They simply want you to pop out a baby that can work. So they don't care what color of trafficker raped you. If they don't rape you on the way there, they will rape you when you get down there, because it's a breeding farm. But this night, this Saturday night that I'm making this video, August the 16th, the clubs of the nations will be bursting with women going out to look for what their grandparents never left in the nightclub. So, when God was giving me this prophecy, he says that all of these people of all skin color, so it just basically depends on who they've caught, but I'm sure all nations, whether you're Irish or whatever, are represented down there. It's just predominantly that the highest that they've caught are black. And he says that they're bonded servants, which means you can't get out. Bonded servitude actually means a type of servitude whereby you're in for life. And he says that the cities are owned and run by the Jews. I was so shocked when God told me this. I will explain. I'm just going to share this vision of when God was telling me what the majority demographic under the ground is. I'm going to share this vision. I saw a black woman whose hair had been cut very, very short. Her hair was so short, almost to skin, but the woman was so majestic as a woman. She was so fit, like her body was so strong. And the reason I was able to see her body is because this woman was working stark naked. Very fit black woman under the ground with no hair, but working stark naked. And as she was working, that cart was there. She was working to fill it, and she was doing a lot better than some of the other people around her who seemed hungry or whatever. She seemed youngish, maybe 27, 28, I don't know. And a man just walked up to her, okay? One of the overseeing, managing men. A white guy just walked up to this woman and just grabbed her by her neck and just yanked her by her arm. And she was trying to resist. And this is the resistance of a person who has been through this mess many times. But the man got her down on the ground and he just raped her right there with all those people watching. And this woman just laid there. She just laid there. She just laid there until he was finished. And then he just got up and he kicked her in one calf, like, get up. Like, he didn't say anything, but he just kicked her in her calf, like, get up. And that woman, after going through that, had to stand up, had to pick up her pick, and had to start digging again in the wall. No washing. No space to cry. No, that's him over there, officer. No, that's the man, Your Honor. No justice, no nothing. Just a different way of life for someone who is caught in something. If what he did to her catches, then she will get a belly. And when the belly gets big enough, then she'll get maybe a 3 or 4 month break towards the end of her time away from the wall. Why? Because whatever they're digging out of the walls, whatever they're digging out of the ground is not as important now as the new worker that she's carrying. That worker is worth more than the others will fill in her missing time. That's the time she's free from rape. That's the time she's free from assault because she's carrying a baby. They don't want to harm that baby now in the lower trimesters, and besides, she's already pregnant, so it's not like you can add another baby in. When she's finished, she will come back to that wall. That is a woman that God made. That is a person that God made. That is a human being that is existing underneath our feet as we speak. I was so shocked that I was paralyzed at seeing what happened to that woman. I was also shocked in hearing who owns these cities, and I had to ask the Lord to be sure. I asked Yah carefully, do they run the city, Lord? Or are the Jews just holding power there? Meaning, are they just powerful people in these cities? And he said to me so powerfully with anger, they own them. They own them. And whoever else they are doing business with may occasionally be told about it and even come down to see it if they wish. They tell friends and their trusted business associates about these cities. And many American millionaires and billionaires have been down under the earth to see the tunnel system. This prophecy is about to shift. Many American millionaires and billionaires have been under the earth to see the tunnel system, the travel system that uses alternative energy, not the simple combustion engine that you have now on cars and planes and trains. There is an alternative energy format that is much cleaner and does not use fossil fuels like crude oil. It makes no noise or waste and is better to use. But they will not give it to men until they have found a way to explain where it came from and to monetize it. They've had it for centuries and they refuse to share it. But they use it often to accomplish wars and other things they need it for, like transport and technological advantage. A gross portion of America's GDP comes from beneath the ground. They farm fruit and food underground, grown without sunlight by an alternate technology. The economy down there is why there is more money and wealth circulating among the wealthy than can properly be accounted for by ordinary finite business practices and the labor that is done by you. So, God is saying that these underground cities are owned, managed, run, funded, possessed, created by the Jews. You're looking at me, I'm looking at you. In January of 2024, January 1st, 2024, the Lord began a very powerful and shocking series that caused people to abuse me even more than normal, because the Jewish people are the protected habitat of the United States. And why wouldn't they be? The Jewish population in the United States is the second biggest in the world. The only place that you'll find them more is in Israel, false Israel itself. God began what to me was a very shocking series. The series was shocking for several reasons. For me, the first reason was how angry God was with these people. The amount of anger that the Lord was showing towards the Jewish population was not a small anger. It was a raging, boiling, overtaking anger, as one who has held his peace for a long time, and not even held it because of what people believe on this earth. He held it for his own sake. But now the thing is that the Lord's jealousy for his real people, the true children of Israel, had reached breaking point, boiling point. And the Lord took me on a double-pronged attack. On one end, the Lord was saying that he will expose who the false Jews are. Revelation chapter 2 and 9, Revelation chapter 3 and 9. If you've never heard this before, you're going to have to do your homework. I also have a playlist of about 13 videos that is called Who Are the True Jews of the Bible. You have to watch that playlist from the first video that is called Yehudim Will Fall, all the way to the last one, for you to have the full apprehension of what God is talking about. The second approach was now God talking to his people, all their sins, all their waywardness, all their pride, how they're still stiff-necked to this day, revealing their identities in the different regions of the world where they are, and saying that the prophecy that Yah will gather his people and take them back to the land in Israel had not yet been fulfilled. And that the falsehood that America and other Western nations, the UK and whatever, tried to perpetrate by establishing the false state of Israel in 1948 is one that he will tolerate no longer. He said that he will destabilize them. He said that he will shake them to the core. He said that he was going to uncover them and show the entire world who they are. He said that he was going to embarrass them. He said that he was going to bankrupt them. Yah says that he will take the wealth of the entire Jewish state, as well as all the Jews that are here in America. And Jews in America are by far the richest bunch. They're 10 times richer than the Jews in Israel, by far. All the millionaires and billionaires, half of them that you see in California forever, for instance. How interesting. Half of them in Silicon Valley, they're all Jewish. They're all Jewish tech gods and stuff like that. These people have the economy of most nations in a chokehold. They are the face that is behind 15 shelf companies that when you finally get to the 15th one, when you finally crack the firewall, plug in the password, and rip off the mask, you're going to see Finkelstein standing there. That's the person who owns most of the big businesses. That's the person who owns even the power company in some countries, especially where they've gone public-private partnerships, where they're no longer parastatals or publicly owned companies that are owned by the government entities. A lot of these governments in some of these smaller countries, African countries, Latin American countries, they go broke and then they partner with private entities. And the private entities will always come out looking like Doug and Dave, but behind it, the rabbi stands. The ones who don't want to get their hands on it, but they own all equity in the company, and then that company buys another shelf company, and then that one buys a third one and a fourth one, and it's the fourth one who comes to do business in these different countries, so that you'll never be able to really do the paper trail to know who is the person who owns. It's one guy. It is one guy. Jewish landlords, one person owns 23 buildings. Ask me how I know. One person will own 23 buildings in this New York City, just for fun. I didn't say it's his kid's legacy. It is his own property. His son probably has started him off, when he was born. The 5-year-old probably owns three buildings for now. And then as he grows, he has to work his 3 buildings and multiply them until he has 23. Or if he's a good son, then he'll end up with 30 so that he can be better than his dad. They own New York City. They own America. They own everything. Your toes are walking basically on a captured nation. And God basically says that he's tired of them and he's going to expose them. He's going to scatter their communities across the 4 corners of the world. And he has already given his warning, saying that any nation that would take them in when they're fleeing, America, here's looking at you, any nation that will take them in when they're fleeing, God says that that nation will be his enemy and he will destroy them as he is destroying the false Israel. So God said that they were in, for instance, you can try that prophecy, the hanging tree. Also try the prophecy, the synagogue of Satan. Yes, there are three you can look at for sure. Incoming, it's called Incoming. And then the other one is called the synagogue of Satan. And then the other one is called the hanging tree. I think I remember very clearly in those three, as well as the inaugural prophecy that started off talking about the Jews. Yehudim will fall. God said that these people have a lot of blood on their hands. Now, I've always wondered, how, Lord? And one of the ways that he revealed was they start the wars. They start the wars because conflict provides a beautiful market for them to move guns, for them to move drugs, for them to increase the human trafficking in that area, for them to just basically spill blood on the earth. But now God is here talking about subterranean cities, masses of them, as well as tunnels going all over the earth. And now the Lord began to surprise me. This is where the tears went back inward, because my interest was just like, what? God is talking about alternative energy that is not the simple combustion engine that we have on cars, planes, and trains. The simple combustion engine that we need needs gas. Planes need gas. I don't know if trains need gas. I don't know what trains run on. I think they run on electricity on tracks. I think so. But definitely cars need gas, and planes need gas, and boats need gas, and jet skis need gas. And so God was saying that there's an alternate energy source that exists that does not rely on fossil fuels. So then this is basically something that could just completely compete with and destroy the fossil fuel industry that we have now, that needs a Chevron, that needs a BP, British Petroleum, that needs all these things, Shell gas and things like that. Yah is saying that this thing has no noise and no waste, and it's far better to use than normal crude oil based energy. But he says that the Jews will not give it to humanity until they find a way to first explain where it came from, and then to also find a way to make money on it. I don't know where it came from. But I have been saying that in the future, they will come and tell us that we're not going to have a radiator and everything and a thermostat. They're just going to put some green crystal in the wall and then tell us this will power the home. This will keep the lights on. This will put the thermostat up when it's cold and bring it down when it's hot, but don't touch it, because as soon as you do, the radioactivity of it is going to poison the whole house, and then all of you will be quarantined and exterminated in here or something. So I don't know if it's that or if it's something else, a cleaner, greener fuel. But God says that it's centuries old, which then lends heavy probability and possibility to the fact that it came in some green hands long back with the Egyptians, long back when the Nephilim roamed freely and were marrying everybody's daughter without protest. Centuries old, and they refuse to share it, but they often bring it out during times of war, and they also use it for things that they need, like improved transport and also technological warfare. So then God tells us that a huge part of the U.S. GDP is from underground. The fruit, Yah says, it's coming from underground. This really answers my question about cucumbers, because you cannot leave a cucumber in the fridge for dust. While refrigerated, it starts to get massive radioactive holes. I'm talking about the long ones that they call English cucumbers. And then conversely, you can leave an apple outside for 6 generations and it's going to stay fine. They're growing farm fruit and food underground by alternate technology, again, Yah says, without the sun. This could be why foreigners come here and begin to complain about the fruit and the food. This really could be. I see it all the time on other channels, excuse me, please, where people say the pineapple in my country is so different from American pineapple. The pineapple in Mexico tastes better than American pineapple. This could really be a reason why. Because who really makes food without sunshine? The economy down there is why there's more wealth and money circulating among the wealthy than you can properly account for using ordinary finite business practices and the labor that is done by you. Basically, we're not working enough up here. We're not generating enough products and enough services to account for each one of these people claiming that they have $100 billion each, competing on the Forbes top 50 list. It's just not possible, because $4.99 is $4.99. There's no way that just because you own a McDonald's and you've been selling a burger for $2.99 and then you only just recently jumped from $2.99 to $12.99, there's still no way, there's no accounting for the monstrous fortunes of the people who have them. And now here's something to understand. Underground cities produce a vast amount of labor and services. Underground cities produce a vast amount of labor and even services that we who are above ground benefit from and consume. But we never know that human beings like ourselves are being held in captivity to produce them. And all the while, the world goes on like nothing is amiss. I continue. There are single lane highways and double lane highways in the world beneath you. They're constantly building there, and it's the free laboring workers who build it. Anything that needs to be done, they do it. They labor their lives away, and then they die. Without social security, without government benefits, without legal protections, without personhood, they exist beneath the earth. They get nothing but a short, sharp existence in which a person can work from the age of 3 years and die at the ripe old age of 13 through an accident in a mud pit, or when a mining hole caves in suddenly and traps him in it. At 13, you can die having known no love, no comfort, no peace, no nothing. Your life is just counted as the value of the labor you gave. I will demand a reckoning for each life lost under cover of darkness of the earth. You will pay me for these souls. Thus says the Lord. There are underground cities and subterranean tunnels that go all over the world. As far as India they go, as far abroad as that, and even further. No, beyond India, there's China and there's Japan and Australia, and then zip. As far abroad as that they go, and even further, traveling by a form of lightning that is more powerful than the electricity you have today. Electricity is old. It is older than you have been told. And there are forms more powerful than what you are allowed to see and handle. It is also cheaper than what you now produce. He's talking about this old electricity. It could be free or almost free according to the ancient technology that is being withheld from you. The world could be provided electricity for less than 1 or 2 households a day. The old technology is with the keepers of wisdom, but they refuse to share it with you. I will tell you more about it when it is time. Ancient technology and wisdom exist in secret, in that only a few know about it. But things exist beneath the veil that I will tell you about when it is time, so you can tell it to them. So the Lord is first of all talking about the existence of, I'm going right back to the top of what I read. The Lord is talking about the existence of single lane, double lane, and multi-lane highways underneath the world, underneath the earth, in the world beneath us. And that means that in order to encompass a single lane highway, okay, a single lane road exists outside everybody's street. There's a left and a right outside everybody's street. That's single lane. But then he's talking about double lane and multi-lane highways, which means that this is vast amounts of space. This is vast amounts of space. This means that tons and tons and tons and tons of cement went down to build this place initially. And he says they're constantly building down there, and anything that they need to make, anything that needs to be erected, listen to me, they probably, because when it says in this prophecy, anything that needs to be created, let me finish my thought, anything that needs to be put up, a new this, a new that, we need a new silo. It's the free laboring workers under the ground that do it. But the Lord said something curious, and this is why you have to really pay attention to what is being said. This was the benefit of the written prophecies. Seeing them in front of you would then give you pause to think. When he says it is their dream to go up top, you can only dream about something that your friend has told you about. I am certain in my soul that there are work projects that take place up here from which to make them go faster. They select the best people that they know, that they will tell you, if you ever speak to another coworker, if you ever intermingle with the up top people, if you ever break out of your work team, because they're not going to bring them out and then mix them with normal construction workers, because a normal construction worker will work, but during the breaks, he's going to say, hey man, where are you from? You cannot say down below. You can't say I'm from below. You can't really have a conversation and expose how poorly educated you are, that you can barely speak, that you don't know your name, that you don't know your birthday, that when they keep asking you, hey man, you got a wife, you got kids, talk, then you can't say anything. They're not going to do that. You're a 33-year-old, almost deaf mute. You can hear and you can speak. It is just that you are not conditioned to perform at the rate of a normal human. So if you carry such people up top, they definitely will form their own work teams with foremen that tend to stay closer to them, watching them, because if you mess up, they'll let you mess up that one day, but the minute they get you downstairs, to make sure that you don't mess up again, you're going to get shot. That is usually how these things go. So to say that those underneath dream of coming up top, if you never heard of up top before, you're not going to dream of it. You dream of it because sometimes when the rich people are having events, 2 or 3 or 10 lovely looking girls get to wash up and go up top, maybe to serve hors d'oeuvres. And you know something, if you don't understand how the minds of the 1%, because there's a lot of rich people that don't know anything about this. They're the ordinary rich people. All they're thinking about is their next coat. They're just in normal selfishness, the selfishness that tries to creep up on you when you're rich, that you have to fight against. And even Jesus said it. He said that you should make friends for yourself with filthy mammon, which basically means as a rich person, Jesus has already told you what your work is. Your work is works of philanthropy. Your works is to make sure that you will go to the high school that you know is not blessed. And instead of just saying, I've come to make a gift to the alumni, you will make sure that you do get the tablets. You are going to buy the 50 tablets and then gift them to the 2 senior classes. You're going to gift them to the senior classes so those kids actually have the materials to work with. Because if you put it in the hands of the principal, he's going to blow it all in Vegas, because that's probably who he is. A rich person's work is to better the world around them through the money that they have. So not every single one of them is out there eating human toes. This is not to be assumed. There is above rich people a class of so-called untouchables. And these people, half of them are not really people. Half of them are devolved from the Nephilim families that have eventually been able to take and hold and maintain a human shape. And then you have your Nazi bloodline also running in there. And then you just have the pure wicked, the opportunistic wicked. You have that class. These people delight. You see, when you get too rich, certain screws in your brain begin to loosen over time. It's inevitable. There's only so much good steak and good eating and good flying before the function of the yeast of pride will begin to work on you. And if you want to stay normal, then it's your job to fight that thing. And usually Christian rich people can do a better job than non-Christian, even though even they may not be perfect. Excuse me, please. But when you become too rich, boredom creeps in. The word for that particular type of boredom is the picture of a person just floating in an endless pool, thinking, being, and doing nothing. It's almost like a form of dissociation from the self. And when the brain gets in that state, Satan dives in with, wouldn't it be fun if? The name of that type of boredom is ennui. Ennui. Even the way that the word sounds, ennui, it literally sounds like your brain is hanging on by two threads saying, please don't let me go. In that format, these people love tricks, they love riddles, they love whimsicalness, and they love to do things that other people don't know about in front of people's faces. When you're in that state, you just love to pull a little prank and enjoy it in the dark, dark recesses of your heart, knowing nobody knows that they're eating my daughter. Yes, you're looking at me, I'm looking at you. I'm not making anything up, and in your core, you know it. They will, and as people say, this is chewy, but light, but fragrant. Is it a new type of duck? And they'll say, no, but it's a person. They're serving people. They're serving people. And usually the people that they'll invite to eat people are people who have never eaten people before. It's the new wave of rich people that just got into Rich Nation. They just got in through their people eating husbands, and they don't know that they're about to be taken to their first people party. They just got in with their normal husband, and both husband and wife are unaware that they're about to go and eat a person. And the rich normal people don't know that the rich abnormal people do this type of thing because they're rich normal, not rich abnormal. The 1% are rich abnormal. They shapeshift. They love blood. They love flesh. They love hunts. They love the shrieks of terrified little children running after they've cut them on their bottoms of the legs, beat them or cut them with razors until the bottom of their legs are bleeding, and then send them out to run through the orchard, the forests, and the poison ivy, and then go ta-ta, and then ride on the estate, hunting the children as the dogs pick up the scent of the blood on the grass. You're looking at me, I'm looking at you. They do it in England. This is the Queen's family's favorite pastime. They have those savage hunts here. They do them with your favorite celebrities. That's why your celebrities look half crazy. This is why your celebrity will come out. They will do a movie and look normal, and then when it comes to the premiere, they look like they've dropped 50,000 pounds. They're nothing but neck and bones, standing at the premiere trying to convince you what a pinnacle moment it was for her to do Wicked. Both of them looking like they just left a concentration camp 20 minutes ago. Then the best that their fans will do is, something's off with Cynthia. Something's off with Ariana. They've been gang raped. They've been mass raped. They've been starved to within an inch of their lives. And they've been doing Hunger Games the entire time that the film was in production. Then they come to the premiere and they do the press junkets. You know, all the awards things. They're doing the press junkets on every type of crack. That's why they're like, I love you. I love you. Celebrities are nothing but puppets that go on the hands of rich abnormal. Then they just play with them in front of you. Then you just say, we love the Queen. We love the Queen. Beyonce is so sick of being molested. Her husband has had her with everyone but the kitchen sink. Tuck that into your pocket the next time you go out, Beehive Nation. That one's just for you. She's just an OnlyFans girl without the OnlyFans. So, there's something in the people who do this that will delight in knowing that there's a whole world under the ground that with the press of an elevator at a particular location in the world that only they know about, they can enter into something that only they know about, a few of their business associates know about, and Jesus Christ is watching 24/7. I did say that Jesus is the silent witness to many things, but I think people are still grappling with the vastness of how this world that they live in is not what they think. They don't have social security. They don't get any government benefits. Basically, there's nobody that they can run to for protection. There's no social workers. There's no nothing. And please understand that these underground cities, they don't only exist here in America. They don't. Because if the tunnels are running under the ground, what are they running under the ground to? Unless they're just running to go and give delivery. Anyway, this is what God is speaking about, so I will confine myself to this. No insertion, no projection. So they're living without personhood under the earth, and God says that they have nothing but a short, sharp life. Imagine, born, put to work at 3. What can a 3-year-old do? A 3-year-old can barely sit still. What can a 3-year-old do? A 3-year-old, to answer the question, before you say, yes, Celestial, he can do a lot of things. If he is beaten enough, a 3-year-old will do anything, including perform sex acts on an adult male. You misjudge and you underestimate how powerful a force duress is. Duress is force. A good whipping, reinforced by the barking of a dog right in front of your face, reinforced by a good whipping, a 3-year-old will sob and say, Jack is a good boy. Jack is a good boy. Jack is a good boy. And Jack will do whatever his little blonde, brunette, dark-skinned Indian, Southeast Asian, Polynesian, Thai self is told. Pick your race. He will do whatever he is told that the big man tells him, because one adult fist is all you need to reset Jack at age 3. Jack can do a lot for the team effort. In case you wanted to dissociate and start going off into your emotions, which are not needed here at this time. Your brain is needed here, so that the next time you go to pray Psalm 109, you will put belly in it. You will pray it like somebody who knows what she or he is doing. You won't start any of that, oh, good Lord, no. You will lock into Psalm 109, and this time you will give it everything you've got. Jazz fingers, that's what you'll give it. Was also shocked in hearing who owns these cities, and I had to ask the Lord to be sure. I asked Yah carefully, do they run the city, Lord? Or are the Jews just holding power there? Meaning, are they just powerful people in these cities? And he said to me so powerfully with anger, they own them. They own them. And whoever else they are doing business with may occasionally be told about it and even come down to see it if they wish. They tell friends and their trusted business associates about these cities. And many American millionaires and billionaires have been down under the earth to see the tunnel system. This prophecy is about to shift. Many American millionaires and billionaires have been under the earth to see the tunnel system, the travel system that uses alternative energy, not the simple combustion engine that you have now on cars and planes and trains. There is an alternative energy format that is much cleaner and does not use fossil fuels like crude oil. It makes no noise or waste and is better to use. But they will not give it to men until they have found a way to explain where it came from and to monetize it. They've had it for centuries and they refuse to share it. But they use it often to accomplish wars and other things they need it for, like transport and technological advantage. A gross portion of America's GDP comes from beneath the ground. They farm fruit and food underground, grown without sunlight by an alternate technology. The economy down there is why there is more money and wealth circulating among the wealthy than can properly be accounted for by ordinary finite business practices and the labor that is done by you. So, God is saying that these underground cities are owned, managed, run, funded, possessed, created by the Jews. You're looking at me, I'm looking at you. In January of 2024, January 1st, 2024, the Lord began a very powerful and shocking series that caused people to abuse me even more than normal, because the Jewish people are the protected habitat of the United States. And why wouldn't they be? The Jewish population in the United States is the second biggest in the world. The only place that you'll find them more is in Israel. false Israel itself. God began what to me was a very shocking series. The series was shocking for several reasons. For me, the first reason was how angry God was with these people. The amount of anger that the Lord was showing towards the Jewish population was not a small anger. It was a raging, boiling, overtaking anger as one who has held his peace for a long time, and not even held it because of what people believe on this earth. He held it for his own sake. But now the thing is that the Lord's jealousy for his real people, the true children of Israel, had reached breaking point, boiling point. And the Lord took me on a double-pronged attack. On one end, the Lord was saying that he will expose who the false Jews are. Revelation chapter 2 and 9, Revelation chapter 3 and 9. If you've never heard this before, you're going to have to do your homework. I also have a playlist of about 13 videos that is called Who Are the True Jews of the Bible. You have to watch that playlist from the first video that is called Yehudim Will Fall all the way to the last one for you to have the full apprehension of what God is talking about. The second approach was now God talking to his people. All their sins, all their waywardness, all their pride, how they're still stiff-necked to this day, revealing their identities in the different regions of the world where they are, and saying that the prophecy that Yah will gather his people and take them back to the land in Israel had not yet been fulfilled. And that the falsehood that America and other Western nations, the UK and whatever, tried to perpetrate by establishing the false state of Israel in 1948 is one that he will tolerate no longer. He said that he will destabilize them. He said that he will shake them to the core. He said that he was going to uncover them and show the entire world who they are. He said that he was going to embarrass them. He said that he was going to bankrupt them. Yah says that he will take the wealth of the entire Jewish states, as well as all the Jews that are here in America. And Jews in America are by far the richest bunch. They're 10 times richer than the Jews in Israel, by far. All the millionaires and billionaires, half of them that you see in California forever, for instance. How interesting. Half of them in Silicon Valley, they're all Jewish. They're all Jewish tech gods and stuff like that. These people have the economy of most nations in a chokehold. They are the face that is behind 15 shelf companies that when you finally get to the 15th one, when you finally crack the firewall, plug in the password, and rip off the mask, you're going to see Finkelstein standing there. That's the person who owns most of the big businesses. That's the person who owns even the power company in some countries, especially where they've gone public-private partnerships, where they're no longer parastatals or publicly owned companies that are owned by the government entities. A lot of these governments in some of these smaller countries, African countries, Latin American countries, they go broke and then they partner with private entities. And the private entities will always come out looking like Doug and Dave, but behind it, the rabbi stands. The ones who don't want to get their hands on it, but they own all equity in the company, and then that company buys another shelf company, and then that one buys a third one and a fourth one, and it's the fourth one who comes to do business in these different countries, so that you'll never be able to really do the paper trail to know who is the person who owns. It's one guy. It is one guy. Jewish landlords, one person owns 23 buildings. Ask me how I know. One person will own 23 buildings in this New York City, just for fun. I didn't say it's his kid's legacy. It is his own property. His son probably has started him off, when he was born. The 5-year-old probably owns three buildings for now. And then as he grows, he has to work his 3 buildings and multiply them until he has 23. Or if he's a good son, then he'll end up with 30 so that he can be better than his dad. They own New York City. They own America. They own everything. Your toes are walking basically on a captured nation. And God basically says that he's tired of them and he's going to expose them. He's going to scatter their communities across the 4 corners of the world. And he has already given his warning saying that any nation that will take them in when they're fleeing, America, here's looking at you, any nation that will take them in when they're fleeing, God says that that nation will be his enemy and he will destroy them as he is destroying the false Israel.
And I know if y'all been watching my channel that you always hear me say, warning comes before destruction. I'm going to say it one more time. Warning comes before destruction. So it's important, viewer, it's important that you take heed to the prophetic messages, right? It's important that you build your spirit up, right? Yes, build your spirit up in these last days to be able to withstand, to discern, to know what's really going on out here. But hey, you know how it is. Everyone has their own thought and opinion, but make sure you drop down in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this video. See y'all next time.